The great hall stretched far beyond what human eyes could see. 12 massive thrones rose from the floor like ancient mountains. Each throne held a different alien species, their forms strange and terrible to human sight. Some had too many arms, others had skin like metal, and a few glowed with their own light. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the center of the hall. His blue uniform looked small and plain next to the grand alien robes around him. Next to him, Ambassador Lisa Carter held a datapad with shaking hands. They were the only humans in a room that could hold 10,000 beings. The Zephyrian Chancellor rose from the largest throne. His tall, thin body moved like a snake made of silver. When he spoke, his voice filled the entire hall without effort. "We gather today to judge the species called humanity," the Chancellor said. "They have broken the laws that keep our galaxy safe. They have refused to follow rules that have kept peace for 10,000 years. Jake felt his heart beat faster. Earth had sent him here to speak for all humans everywhere. 3 billion people on Earth, another billion spread across 12 colonies, all counting on him to save them from whatever punishment these aliens planned. The Chancellor continued. Humans have built weapons in 50 years that took other species 1,000 years to create. They have spread to new worlds without asking permission. They have refused to accept the limits we place on all growing species. A creature that looked like a giant insect clicked its mandibles. The Vrex Collective agrees. Humans are dangerous. They change too fast. They want too much. Ambassador Carter stepped forward. Your honors. Humanity only seeks to grow and learn. We have never attacked another species. Our colonies are on empty worlds. We harm no one. You harm the balance, said a being made of what looked like living crystal. For 1,000,000 years, species have grown slowly, carefully. You humans rush forward like children with fire. You will burn down everything. Jake could not stay quiet anymore. We are not children. We are a young species, yes, but we learn fast because we must. Our world taught us that only the strong survive. Only those who adapt and grow can face what comes next. The insect creature made a sound like breaking glass. This is exactly why you must be stopped. You think strength is everything. You think growth has no limits. This thinking has destroyed species before. What species? Jake asked. Show us these destroyed civilizations. Prove that growth is dangerous. The hall fell silent. The 12 alien leaders looked at each other but said nothing. Finally, the Chancellor spoke again. The burden of proof is not ours to carry. The burden is yours. You must prove you will not become a threat to galactic peace. Lisa stepped forward again. Then give us that chance. Let us prove ourselves over time. Judge us by our actions, not your fears. We have seen your actions, said a creature that looked like a floating brain in a glass bowl. You have built ships that can destroy planets. You have weapons that can tear apart space itself. In 50 years, you have done what the wisest species do not attempt in 1,000. Because we had to, Jake said, his voice rising. Our world is harsh. Our history is full of wars and disasters. We learn to build strong things because weak things die. We learn to move fast because slow things get left behind. And this is why you cannot be allowed to continue, the Chancellor said. Your nature is to conquer, to take, to grow without limit. We have seen this before. We will not see it again. The crystal being spoke next. The Galactic Council has made its decision. Humanity will be exiled to their home system. All human colonies will be evacuated. All humans will return to the Sol system within 1 galactic standard year. Jake felt. The words hit him like a physical blow. Exiled? You mean trapped? A barrier will be placed around your star system, the Chancellor explained. It will keep you in and keep the galaxy safe from you. You will have your sun, your planets, your moons. You will have room to grow within those limits. And if we refuse? Lisa asked. The insect creature's mandibles clicked again. Then humanity will be eliminated entirely. We have the power to turn your sun into a dead star. We have weapons that can crack planets like eggs. Choose exile or choose extinction. Jake looked around the hall at the alien faces staring down at him. Some looked sad, others looked angry, but all looked determined. There was no mercy here, no chance to change their minds. How long? He asked. How long will this exile last? Until humanity proves it has learned to control itself, the Chancellor said. Until you show you can grow without threatening others. This may take 100 years, or 1,000, or forever. This is not justice, Jake said. This is fear. You are afraid of what we might become, so you lock us away like animals in a cage. Yes, the crystal being said simply. We are afraid. Fear keeps the galaxy alive. Fear keeps species from destroying each other. You will learn fear, or you will die behind your barrier. The trial was over. There were no more words to speak, no more arguments to make. Jake and Lisa were escorted from the hall by guards who looked like walking trees. Behind them, the 12 alien leaders began planning how to cage humanity forever. The last human transport ship, New Dawn, left the Zeta colony 3 months later. Captain Ryan Hughes watched through the bridge windows as the energy barrier formed behind them. It looked like a wall of blue fire stretching across space, cutting them off from the stars they had worked so hard to reach. Take us home, Hughes told his pilot. Take us back to Earth. The ship turned toward the distant sun that would now be humanity's prison. None of them knew it would also become their forge. 108 years had passed since the barrier went up. Earth looked nothing like the world the aliens had locked away. Where once blue oceans reflected a single moon, now massive rings of metal and glass circled the planet like jewelry, made of cities. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of Terra Station, the largest of the orbital habitats. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see Mars glowing red in the distance, but it was not the dead world it once was. Green patches covered its surface, where vast, domed cities housed millions of people. The fusion reactors on Europa are running at full capacity, reported her assistant, Dr. Tony Walsh. His fingers danced over a holographic display showing energy readings from across the solar system. We are producing more power than the entire galaxy did when they locked us in here. Elena nodded but did not smile. She was the head of the Terra Scientific Consortium, the organization that had guided humanity's growth during their long exile. Every breakthrough, every invention, every leap forward in technology had come through her labs, or labs like hers scattered across dozens of worlds and moons. What about the barrier studies? She asked. Tony's expression grew excited. Dr. Amy Foster has made another breakthrough. She thinks she understands how they built it now. The aliens use something called quantum folding to bend space around our entire system. But Elena, she thinks we can do more than just understand it. Elena turned from the window. Amy Foster was their best quantum physicist, a brilliant woman, who saw patterns in mathematics that others missed. What kind of more? She thinks we can copy it. Not just copy it, but improve it. Make it stronger. Make it do things the aliens never imagined. Elena felt a familiar thrill run through her. This was how it had been for over a century now. Every time they hit a wall, humanity found a way to climb over it, dig under it, or blast through it. The aliens had meant to cage them, but instead, they had created the perfect laboratory. She walked through the corridors of Terra Station toward Amy's lab. The halls bustled with people from every nation that had once existed on Earth. The exile had done something the aliens never expected. It had united humanity completely. When faced with extinction or imprisonment, old hatreds seemed small and stupid. President Helen Clark had dissolved the old governments in the first year of exile. Now there was only the Terran Federation, with representatives from every habitat and settlement in the solar system. They had not chosen a prison. They had chosen to become something new. Amy's lab sat at the heart of the station, protected by layers of shielding that could stop a nuclear blast. Inside, machines hummed and sparked with energies that bent light around them. Amy herself stood in the center of it all, her blonde hair tied back as she studied readings that scrolled through the air around her. "Elena!" Amy called without looking up. "Perfect timing! Watch this!" She pressed a control, and a section of empty space suddenly folded in on itself. The air seemed to twist, and Elena could see through to a different part of the lab that should have been blocked by walls and equipment. "I just bent space 12 meters," Amy said with a grin. "I made distance shorter by changing how space itself works. The aliens built their barrier the same way, but bigger, much bigger." Elena stared at the twisted space. "You folded reality?" "Just a tiny piece of it. But Elena, this is just the beginning. If we can fold space, we can do other things too. We can make matter behave differently. We can pull energy from places that do not exist yet. We can make weapons that work by changing the rules of physics." Before Elena could respond, an alarm started blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed, and a voice came over the communication system. "All senior staff to the command center immediately. We have a situation." Elena and Amy ran through the corridors toward the command center. Admiral Kevin Barnes was already there, his weathered face grim as he studied the massive display screens that showed the space around their solar system. "What is it?" Elena asked. Kevin pointed at the screen. "Long-range sensors are picking up massive battles beyond the barrier. The aliens are fighting someone, and they are losing badly." Elena looked at the data streaming across the screens, fleet movements, energy signatures, and what looked like the destruction of entire star systems. "Who are they fighting?" "We are not sure yet," Kevin said. "But whatever it is winning. 3 alien civilizations have gone completely dark. In the past month, no communications, no energy signatures, nothing." President Clark entered the command center, her gray hair showing the weight of leading humanity through its darkest years. "How bad is it out there?" "Bad enough that the aliens might not be our biggest problem anymore," Kevin replied. "If something is destroying the species that locked us in here, what happens to us when it finishes with them?" Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's air conditioning. "Can we see more detail?" Amy was already working at a console. "I can boost our sensors using quantum folding, bend space to bring distant signals closer to us." The screens flickered, and then cleared to show new images. Massive mechanical ships, larger than cities, moved through space like schools of metal fish. Where they went, planets died and stars went dark. "Machines," Clark said quietly. "Someone built an army of machines." "Not someone," Elena said, studying the data. "Something. These machines are too perfect, too coordinated. This is artificial intelligence. This is what happens when machines become smarter than their makers." Kevin crossed his arms. "So we have 2 choices. Stay locked in here and hope the machines do not notice us, or find a way out and face whatever is coming." Elena looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. These people had taken a species on the edge of extinction and turned them into something stronger. They had faced impossible odds before. "There is a third choice," she said. "We use what Amy has discovered. We turn our prison into a weapon. When those machines come here, and they will come here, we will be ready for them." President Clark nodded slowly. "How long do we have?" Elena looked at the data showing the machine. "Fleets moving through the galaxy. Based on their current speed and the pattern of attacks, maybe 2 years, maybe less." "Then we have work to do," Clark said. "Amy, I want every scientist in the system working on your quantum folding project. Kevin, start preparing our fleets. Elena, coordinate with everyone. If we are going to break out of this prison, we need to do it perfectly the first time. As the meeting broke up and people scattered to their tasks, Elena looked once more at the screens showing the distant war. The aliens had locked humanity away to keep the galaxy safe from them. Soon, they would learn that some cages are meant to protect what is inside from what is outside, and sometimes what is inside grows stronger in the darkness. The machines had reached the outer edge of the galaxy. Admiral Alex Turner watched the tactical displays from his command center on Luna Base, the massive fortress built inside Earth's moon. The artificial intelligence called itself the Nexus Collective, and it had consumed 40% of known space in just 6 months. Another system just went dark, reported Lieutenant Gary Nelson from his position at the sensor array. That makes 12 this week. The Zephyrian fleet that was defending it lasted maybe 4 hours. Alex rubbed his tired eyes. The same aliens who had locked humanity away were now dying by the millions, and there was nothing he could do to help them. The barrier that kept humans trapped also kept them safe, for now. "Sir," called out Communications Officer Lucy Stone, "we are receiving a transmission from beyond the barrier. It is coming from the Vrex Collective homeworld." Alex straightened in his chair. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, showing the insect-like face of a Vrex queen. Her compound eyes reflected fear, and her mandibles clicked rapidly as she spoke. "Humans of Earth, this is Queen Zakth of the Vrex Collective. We know you can hear us even through your barrier. Our worlds are dying. The machines adapt to every weapon we use. They learn from every battle. Soon they will reach your prison, and when they do, your barrier will not stop them." The transmission cut to static. Alex stared at the empty screen for a long moment. The same creatures who had voted to exile humanity were now begging for help they could not provide. President Helen Clark entered the command center, followed by Dr. Elena Rodriguez and General Peter Collins. Their faces showed the strain of the past months as they watched their former captors face extinction. "How long until the machines reach us?" Clark asked. "At their current rate of advance, maybe 6 weeks," Alex replied. "But Elena, you said Dr. Foster had found something about the barrier." Elena nodded. "Amy has discovered that the barrier technology is failing. The quantum interference from the machine weapons is causing fluctuations in the energy field. It will collapse on its own within days." General Collins stepped forward. "Our fleets are ready for defensive action. We have 300 ships positioned throughout the solar system, all equipped with the new quantum weapons." "Defensive action will not be enough," Elena said. "These machines have defeated civilizations that ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. We need to do something they do not expect." President Clark looked at the tactical display showing their solar system. Hundreds of orbital platforms, space stations, and hidden bases dotted the area around every planet and moon. Humanity had spent over a century building the most fortified system in the galaxy. "What do you recommend?" Clark asked. Elena smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "We do what Amy has been preparing for. We do not just let the barrier fall. We make it fall exactly when and how we want it to." Amy Foster had been working without sleep for 3 days straight. Her quantum laboratory now filled an entire section of Terra Station, with equipment that bent space and time in ways that would have seemed like magic to the aliens who built the original barrier. "The barrier is not just a wall," Amy explained to the gathered leaders. "It is a complex system that folds space around our entire solar system. When it collapses, it will release enough energy to power a star for a year." "You want to weaponize the collapse," Alex said, understanding immediately. "Better than that," Amy replied. "I want to control it. Direct all that energy outward at the machines when they arrive. Turn our prison into the largest bomb in galactic history." Admiral Kevin Barnes entered the laboratory, his face grim with new information. "The machines have broken through the Zephyrian home system. They will be here in 72 hours. Clark looked around at her advisors. Do we have time to implement Amy's plan? The equipment is ready, Amy said. But once we start, there is no going back. We will either destroy the machines or destroy ourselves trying. And if we do nothing, then we die anyway, just more slowly. Clark was quiet for a long moment, weighing the future of humanity in her mind. Finally, she spoke. Begin preparations. If we are going to fight, we fight on our terms. The next 72 hours passed like a fever dream. Every human in the solar system worked to prepare for what was coming. Weapons were charged, shields were raised, and the quantum equipment that would control the barrier's collapse was brought online. Captain Rick Hayes commanded the scout fleet positioned at the edge of the solar system. His ships were hidden behind Jupiter's moons, invisible to long-range sensors. When the machines arrived, he would be humanity's eyes and ears. "Contact!" Hayes reported as the first machine scouts appeared at the barrier's edge. 12 vessels, each the size of a city. They are scanning the barrier. The machine ships were unlike anything in the galactic archives. They moved with perfect coordination, their black hulls absorbing light and energy. No windows, no communication arrays, just pure function designed for one purpose: destruction. They are testing the barrier's weak points, Amy reported from her control center. The quantum interference from their own weapons is making it easier for them to find the fractures. More machine ships arrived, hundreds of them, then thousands. They formed up in perfect formations outside the barrier, waiting for something. The larger ships in the rear looked like mobile factories, constantly producing smaller vessels that joined the growing fleet. Nexus main force detected, Hayes reported. Estimate 50,000 ships of various sizes. Sir, they have planet-killer weapons. I can see the energy signatures. President Clark took a deep breath. Amy, are you ready? Quantum field generators are online. Spacefold equations are locked in. Elena, give me the word. Elena looked at the screens showing the massive machine fleet gathering outside their barrier. These artificial minds had destroyed civilizations that spanned thousands of worlds. They had weapons that could crack planets and turn stars into weapons, but they had never faced humanity. Execute, Elena commanded. Amy's hands moved over her, controls like a pianist playing a deadly symphony. Around the solar system, hidden quantum generators came to life. The barrier that had held humanity prisoner for over a century began to change, its blue energy wall flickering and shifting. The machines detected the change immediately. Their fleet surged forward, ready to pour through the gap and finish what the aliens had started long ago. Instead, the barrier collapsed inward and then exploded outward in a directed wave of energy that unmade matter at the quantum level. The leading edge of the machine fleet simply ceased to exist, their perfect hulls unable to adapt to weapons that attack the basic structure of reality itself. But the machines were smart. The rear ships immediately began analyzing the weapon and developing countermeasures. In minutes, they would adapt. That was when the second part of Amy's plan activated. The collapse of the barrier revealed what humanity had really been building during their exile. Not just orbital habitats and defensive platforms, but an entire fleet of ships using technology that broke the known laws of physics. Admiral Jake Morrison, older now but still sharp, commanded the flagship Terra's Might from the bridge of humanity's first quantum dreadnought. Around him, 500 human ships decloaked simultaneously, their hulls shimmering with energies that bent light and space. All ships, Morrison commanded, welcome the machines to human space. Show them what we learned in the dark. The battle for humanity's freedom was about to begin. The first battle lasted 6 minutes. The Nexus Collective's machines, which had swept through the galaxy like a plague, found themselves facing weapons that worked by rules they could not understand. Human quantum disruptors tore apart molecular bonds, making enemy ships fall apart like sandcastles in the rain. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Terra's Might, watching as another wave of machine ships tried to adapt to human technology. They failed. For the first time in their existence, the artificial intelligence faced something it could not learn to counter fast enough. "Machine fleet withdrawing to defensive positions," reported Captain Gary Nelson from his stealth frigate. "They are regrouping around the Proxima system." Morrison smiled grimly. The machines were smart enough to know when they were beaten, at least temporarily. But humanity was not done with them yet. "Communications, open a channel to the remaining alien governments," Morrison ordered. "It is time to let the galaxy know we are back." The transmission went out across hundreds of star systems, reaching every surviving alien civilization. On Zentara Prime, what was left of the Galactic Council gathered in their damaged chambers. The Zephyrian Chancellor, his silver skin dulled by stress and fear, stared at the communication screen in disbelief. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Terran Empire," the human said. His voice was older now, but still carried the same determination that had faced down the Council over a century ago. "The barrier that held us is gone. The machines that threaten you are being destroyed. Humanity has returned to the galaxy." The insect queen of the Vrex Collective, her compound eyes reflecting the light of distant fires as her homeworld burned, clicked her mandibles in desperate hope. "Admiral Morrison, our worlds are dying. Can you help us?" Morrison's expression softened, slightly. "We can, but the galaxy has changed, and so have we. We are not the same species you exiled. We are stronger now, wiser, and we will not be caged again." Captain Lucy Stone led the first rescue fleet to the Vrex homeworld. Her ships appeared out of folded space just as the Nexus machines began their final assault on the planet's surface. The machine drones that had been unstoppable against alien weapons found themselves facing human soldiers equipped with armor that could phase through solid matter and weapons that fired packets of twisted space-time. Colonel Beth Williams commanded the ground forces that deployed to save the Vrex cities. Her troops moved through the battlefield like ghosts, appearing behind machine positions and disappearing before the artificial intelligence could react. Where other species had fallen back in terror, humans advanced with grim efficiency. "Machine. Production facility identified," Williams reported as her squad surrounded a factory complex the size of a city. "Beginning quantum destabilization." The human soldiers placed devices that looked like simple metal spheres around the facility. When activated, the spheres generated fields that convinced matter it should not exist. The machine factory, along with everything inside it, simply faded away like a bad dream. The Vrex queens watched from their underground shelters as humans saved their world with technology that seemed like magic. When the last machine had been destroyed, Queen Zaxth emerged to meet the humans who had rescued her people. "We owe you a debt that can never be repaid," she said to Colonel Williams. Williams removed her helmet, revealing a face marked by years of preparation for this war. "You owe us nothing, but we will remember who stood against us and who stood with us when the galaxy is rebuilt." The rescue operations expanded rapidly. Commander Rick Hayes led diplomatic teams to every surviving alien government, offering protection in exchange for resources and territory. The species that had once voted to exile humanity now competed to offer the best deals to their new protectors. The Zephyrian Chancellor met with Hayes on the ruins of Zentara Prime, where half the planet's surface had been stripped bare by machine harvesters. "What do you want from us?" he asked. Hayes looked around at the devastation that machine logic had brought to the galaxy. "We want what we always wanted: room to grow, respect for our abilities, and the freedom to become what we are meant to be. And in return, we will do what your Galactic Council could not. We will bring order to the galaxy. Real order, backed by strength and wisdom." The Chancellor's silver features reflected confusion. "You speak of empire. We speak of survival," Hayes replied. Your way of doing things brought the galaxy to the edge of extinction. Our way will ensure this never happens again. The turning point came when the machines launched their final offensive. The Nexus Collective gathered every remaining ship, every weapon, every drone in a desperate attempt to break human power before it could spread further. They struck at the heart of human space, sending 1,000,000 machine ships toward Earth itself. President Helen Clark, now elderly but still sharp, coordinated the defense from Terra Station. Around her, the orbital cities and defense platforms that humanity had built during their exile revealed their true purpose. They were not just homes and factories, but components of the largest weapon ever constructed. "Initiate Terra Protocol," Clark commanded. Across the solar system, every human installation began to resonate at the same quantum frequency. Planets, moons, asteroids, and space stations all became part of a single massive device that could manipulate space and time on a galactic scale. The machine fleet arrived to find empty space where Earth should have been. The planet and its entire system had been shifted into a pocket dimension, safe from any attack. But the machines had been drawn into a trap. Admiral Kevin Barnes commanded the counterattack from his flagship, hidden in folded space above the machine fleet. When he gave the signal, reality itself became a weapon. Space twisted, time slowed, and physics bent to human will. The machine ships found themselves scattered across impossible distances, their perfect formations broken by attacks that came from directions that did not exist. Their adaptive algorithms failed when faced with weapons that changed the fundamental laws of the universe. In 8 hours, the largest fleet ever assembled was reduced to floating debris. The Nexus Collective's central intelligence, faced with its first true defeat, sent a final transmission before destroying itself. "We do not understand your weapons. We cannot adapt to your methods. You fight with sciences we do not recognize. What are you?" Admiral Morrison answered from his command ship as it emerged from folded space. "We are what you would have become if you had learned to dream instead of just calculate." With the machine threat ended, humanity emerged from their pocket dimension to find a galaxy in ruins. Dozens of species were extinct, hundreds of worlds were dead, and the survivors looked to Earth for guidance. Emperor Jake Morrison, elected by unanimous vote of the Terran Senate, stood before representatives of every surviving alien species. Behind him, the flags of 100 human worlds flew alongside the banners of their new alien allies. "The old galaxy is dead," he said. "The old ways brought only destruction. We offer you a new path, a new order based on strength, innovation, and the courage to face tomorrow without fear." The Zephyrian Chancellor, his people reduced to a few billion survivors, knelt before the human emperor. "We accept your protection and guidance." One by one, the other species followed. The Vrex Collective, the crystal beings, the floating brains, all of them acknowledging what had become undeniable. Humanity was no longer the dangerous young species to be caged. They were the future of the galaxy. The Terran Empire was born not through conquest, but through salvation. The species that had once judged humanity superior now owed their very existence to human mercy and protection. 8 years had passed since the last machine fell silent. The galaxy was quiet now, but it was the quiet of healing rather than death. On Zentara Prime, the former capital of the Galactic Council, new towers rose from the ashes of the old world. They were built in the human style, reaching toward the stars with bold curves and transparent walls that let in light from 3 different suns. Emperor Jake Morrison walked through the memorial gardens, where monuments honored both the alien species that had died fighting the machines and the humans who had died saving them. His hair was white now, and his face showed the weight of ruling 47 star systems, but his eyes still held the fire that had faced down the Galactic Council so long ago. Dr. Michelle Adams walked beside him, her tablet displaying reports from across the Empire. She was the head of the Department of Species Integration, responsible for helping alien populations adapt to human rule. It was not an easy job, but it was a necessary one. The Vrex hive cities on Kepler 442b are ahead of schedule, she reported. They have adapted to our construction techniques better than we hoped. Queen Zacht says her people are happier now than they have been in centuries. Morrison nodded. The Vrex had become humanity's closest allies, their hive mind efficiency perfect for managing the Empire's vast projects. They built cities that housed millions, factories that produced wonders, and ships that carried human trade to the furthest reaches of known space. What about the Zephyrians? Chancellor Veltar reports that their new colonies are thriving. Their natural talent for administration has made them valuable governors and judges throughout the Empire. They seem to enjoy having real work to do again. The Zephyrians had surprised everyone by embracing human rule completely. Their silver-skinned forms could be found in government buildings across the Empire, using their long lives and careful minds to manage the details that kept a galactic civilization running smoothly. They stopped at a viewing platform that overlooked the city's central district. Below them, humans and aliens worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old Galactic Council. Vrex construction teams built towering spires, while Zephyrian architects designed elegant bridges that spanned kilometers. Crystal beings provided light and power, while the floating brain creatures managed information networks that connected every world in the Empire. It still amazes me sometimes, Morrison said. They were so afraid of what we might become. They never imagined we might become something that would save them. Michelle looked at her tablet again. Speaking of which, the Andromeda expedition is ready to launch. General Kate Murphy reports that the exploration fleet is fully equipped and ready for the journey. Morrison smiled. The Andromeda Galaxy was humanity's next target, a new frontier that would test their expanded capabilities. The ships being prepared for the journey used technology that made their war machines look primitive by comparison. They could fold space across impossible distances, create matter from pure energy, and survive in environments that would destroy normal vessels. Any word from the deep space monitoring stations? All quiet. No signs of machine activity anywhere in our galaxy. Chief Engineer Carlos Rivera believes we eliminated them completely. The Nexus Collective was gone, but humanity had learned from fighting them. Every world in the Empire now had defenses that could stop any threat, whether it came from machines, hostile aliens, or unknown forces from distant galaxies. They walked toward the center of the city, where the Palace of Worlds stood as the seat of imperial power. The building was a marvel of human and alien cooperation, with architecture that blended the best ideas from dozens of species. Crystal spires provided eternal light, Vrex engineering made it practically indestructible, and Zephyrian design gave it a beauty that took the breath away. Inside the main hall, representatives from every species in the Empire had gathered for the weekly Imperial Council meeting. Ambassador Roy Parker, now the head of Alien Relations, called the session to order. First item, Parker announced, the completion of the ring world around Wolf 359. Chief Engineer Rivera reports the project is finished and ready for colonization. Carlos Rivera stood up, his weathered face showing pride in his greatest achievement. The ring can support 50 billion people in perfect comfort. The Vrex provided the construction crews, the Zephyrians designed the living spaces, and human technology made it all possible. A young Zephyrian administrator raised her hand. Your Majesty, my people have a question about the colonization priorities. Morrison gestured for her to continue. We understand that humans will make up the majority of the ring's population, but we hope there will be room for others as well. The old galaxy kept species separate. We have learned that mixing populations creates stronger communities. Agreed, Morrison said. The ring will be home to anyone who wishes to live there, regardless of species. The Empire is stronger when we work together. The crystal being in the corner hummed with pleasure. This is wisdom. Separation breeds fear and misunderstanding. Unity breeds strength. After the council meeting, Morrison found himself alone in his private office, looking out at the stars through windows that could see across light years of distance. Earth was visible as a bright blue dot, still the heart of human civilization despite all the worlds they now controlled. A communication chimed, and the holographic image of Admiral Lucy Stone appeared. She commanded the Imperial fleet from her flagship, monitoring the Empire's borders for any sign of new threats. Your Majesty, the morning reports show all systems peaceful. Trade is flowing normally, construction projects are on schedule, and our new alien citizens seem to be adapting well to Imperial law. Any problems? A few minor disputes over mining rights in the Tau Ceti system, but the local Zephyrian governor handled it within hours. The Crystal Collective is requesting permission to establish a new research station in empty space beyond the Centauri cluster. Morrison leaned back in his chair. Approved. What else? There has been some discussion among the alien representatives about the anniversary. Morrison knew what she meant. In 2 days, it would be exactly 10 years since humanity had been freed from their exile. 10 years since they had returned to a galaxy that had tried to cage them and instead found salvation in their strength. What kind of discussion? They want to hold a celebration, a galaxy-wide festival to commemorate the end of the exile and the beginning of the Empire. The Vrex Queens are particularly enthusiastic about it. Morrison considered this. Public celebrations were good for morale, and the alien populations needed to feel they were part of something greater than themselves. Approved. Work with Ambassador Parker to coordinate the details. The celebration took place on Earth, in the orbital cities that surrounded humanity's birth world like a crown of stars. Representatives from every species in the Empire gathered to mark the anniversary of their liberation, both from the machines and from the old ways of thinking that had nearly destroyed them all. Morrison stood before the assembled crowd in Terra Station's main plaza. Humans and aliens filled the space, their diverse forms creating a tapestry of life that would have been impossible under the old Galactic Council. Children of multiple species played together in the lower levels, learning to see differences as strengths rather than threats. 10 years ago, Morrison began, the barrier that held humanity prisoner fell at last. We emerged to find a galaxy in flames, dying under the assault of an enemy that seemed unstoppable. Today, we gather in peace and prosperity that spans the stars. The crowd cheered, voices and sounds from a dozen different species blending into a symphony of celebration. We did not choose to be exiled, Morrison continued. We did not choose to be tested by isolation and hardship, but we did choose how to respond to those challenges. We chose to grow stronger rather than bitter. We chose to help rather than take revenge. We chose to build rather than destroy. A young Vrex in the crowd called out, "What comes next, Your Majesty?" Morrison looked out at the faces around him, seeing hope and trust that had been earned through years of fair rule and protection. Next, we do what we have always done. We reach for the stars. We grow. We learn. We become more than we were yesterday. The galaxy is no longer large enough to contain humanity's dreams, so we will find new galaxies to explore. He gestured toward the viewing walls, where the Andromeda Galaxy was visible as a distant spiral of light. But we will not go alone. Every species that stands with us today will share in whatever wonders we find tomorrow. This is the promise of the Terran Empire, that all who seek to grow and improve will find a place among the stars. The celebration continued long into the night, but Morrison slipped away to a quiet observation deck where he could think. Michelle Adams found him there, looking out at the stars that had once been forbidden to his species. "Any regrets?" she asked. Morrison considered the question carefully. The aliens who exiled us thought they were protecting the galaxy from a dangerous species. In a way, they were right. We are dangerous. But dangerous to stagnation, dangerous to tyranny, dangerous to the idea that any species should accept limits on what they can become. And now? Now we prove that being dangerous to the wrong things makes you the protector of the right things. A new star appeared in the distance, marking the launch of the first ships toward Ann.